Today we have a very special guest, one of our very own staff members, Tony, which is actually one of my very best friends here. We have a lot of fun working here together, but I've been able to learn so much about filmmaking and cinema, just by working here with him. He's going to be able to share his journey and how he got started into filmmaking in today's episode. Don't forget to like and subscribe and give our YouTube channel a little share. Peace out, Houston. Hey, what's up, guys? Today on Photographic Therapy, we have a very special guest. Not only do we have one of our very own staff members here at the Houston Camera Exchange, but one of my dear and beloved friends, someone that I've actually been able to learn so much from, and that is Tony Machiavelli.
What's up, everybody?
Oh, I'm kidding. I just call him Tony Machiavelli. I don't know why, but it just kind of stuck, kind of weird. But man, Tony, how are you doing today?
Man, I'm doing good. I'm so happy to be, a part of this. The whole team got this all set up and trying to go crazy today.
Cool, 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 man. What you been up to lately?
I've been working on a project, one music video for a client, but yeah, I got some plans up my sleeve.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, man. So, man, just to dive right into it, man. Everybody wants to know all the questions like, man, what's your setup? How long you been shooting and stuff like that. But I think it's really, really cool that a lot of people don't know that you actually work here for the Houston Camera Exchange, and you're an incredible resource here for our team. But man, how did you ended up working here?
Oh man, so I try to do the whole filmmaking thing like without a job and stuff. Like I had quit my last job where I was cutting boxes at Old Navy every morning.
Oh yeah, I used to work at the Gap.
Yeah, the whole shipment thing, like I couldn't do it anymore, and I wanted to pursue my dreams, and I realized like you need money to pursue your dreams too. So I had no job, and I just made a resume and walked up here, and bam, I got a job here.
Man, that's pretty cool, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't know. I actually didn't know this place existed until like 2 years afterwards I got my camera. I walked into Best Buy, about 4.5 years ago. Actually, this May will be my fifth year shooting. But
Wow.
I didn't know the camera store existed, you know what I mean? Like, because you typically, oh, where do they sell cameras? You go to a Best Buy or like a computer store. So I walked into Best Buy, bought a Sony A6000. And 2 years after I was shooting, I found out because I was shooting a lot of heavy analog stuff. And I was like, man, I wonder if anybody does repairs in Houston or anybody sells stuff. And I found the Houston Camera Exchange, and somehow I ended up here, man. And I'm forever grateful to definitely be here.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a lot of people don't know, but a lot of our staff, they call us twins, even though there's a big age gap. But we have very similar things about us. We get along really well.
Since day one,
Yeah.
like we just kicked it off since day one, and just been selling cameras together, having fun jokes, and
Yeah,
just a great time.
man, Tony always makes me laugh, man, and it's especially when I'm having like, because retail gets crazy. You're either down there or something. There's always like some type of motivation coming out from him, and I really appreciate that from him. But man, he's an incredible resource as a filmmaker. A lot of people just think that you're just like a videographer or just a cameraman, but what a lot of people don't know is that you're actual have a very knowledgeable background on cinematography and filmmaking. So man, how did you get started in that journey?
Man, honestly, at first I was not even a photographer or videographer. I wanted to be a fashion designer and graphic design. A big influence towards that would be like Vincent Staples,
Oh
that
yeah,
staple brand.
yeah.
He started making his own clothes, even Bobby Hundreds from the Hundreds.
Oh yeah,
You
yeah, for
know,
sure.
in 2017, I was really trying to strive to create my own clothing brand, but I found out I couldn't draw. So I was like, let me pick up a camera and try to go take some photos. And from there, I just started shooting music videos because I had one friend in high school that started making music, and
Okay.
I started shooting for him. And from there, I went to school, got a degree in video post production, and yeah, just been
So you
shooting ever
actually
since.
you took a little bit of school as well
Mm.
as that too to get some of the fundamentals and stuff like
Yeah,
that. Oh man,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
dope.
yeah, yeah.
But like I know you started in music videos. Have you, is that where a lot of your most I guess your pioneered work started, like some of your first work started was in the music industry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of my work is influenced from the music industry. Like, I worked with a label called MIA, and we would be in the studio from 8 to 12 at night. And a lot of my work is very contrast dark. It's because we're in that dark environment.
Okay.
I got influenced a lot by that culture.
Okay. Yeah, you man, your work always. I know you've been able to show me some of your first work. You know, it was like, man, I was not that good, but I was like, I don't know, man. For our first video, I think you did really great. You know what I mean? Because I would have no idea where to even start to even shoot a video like that. But then as you progress, you know, like you can see this really cool cinematic, moody theme to your photos. So I remember like just being so impressed, especially at your age, because not a lot of people know. I don't want to put your age out there,
Yeah.
but I know, like, you know, I've been working here for 2 years. And you just turned 25, but you were like 23 at the time. But
Yeah.
you started like filming like at what age? Like
Like 18, 19.
18. So like even then, it almost reminds me like, you know, remember back in the day, like when young NBA players would get drafted, like Kobe. You know, I think I don't know if KD. I think KD might have been that first um draft that you had to have 1 year in college. But before that, you know what I mean? Like Melo and Kobe, everybody that was coming out
Kobe.
of high school, you know what I mean? LeBron James.
Yeah.
So like me seeing you, I was like, man, this kid's only 23 and be able to like actually see what he's putting in. And I was like, man, that's really impressive. You know, what you were filming and what you were making and stuff like that. But I know you said you wanted to start a brand, but now you've kind of been able to kind of establish that a little bit. Now, you know, not to give a lot of people everything what you're doing, but I know you've been able to show me some stuff. But there's some really cool things on the works with your company because you know you're really low key, but when you come out, and then people will be like, oh man, he's been working on something and stuff like that.
Yeah, just taking my time
Yeah.
really. Like it takes time to create something, worthwhile.
What's the name of your filmmaking? And
Production company, it's called Under Research.
how did that come about?
Man, honestly, for any profession to me, like from my experience trying to be like a cinematographer or a director, photographer, whatever you want to do, even a doctor,
Yeah.
you really have to dig deep, and really understand the art, really understand, what makes a photo good, what makes a video good, the importance of things,
Yeah.
the research of it. You have to research all this stuff to, become the artist you need to become.
Yeah.
No.
Do you feel? I feel like a lot of people kind of skip that. You know, with that was one of the things I got into the Sony system, and then I felt like it was doing a lot of the work for me. So I felt in 3 months afterwards, when I picked up an analog camera, it really forced me to learn how to create an exposure. So it made me do more research, right? It made me do like really go learn, you know, and go through that process. And I feel like a lot of people skip that process. But man, I know you say you've been filmmaking for about how long now? Yeah.
Man, that's like 7.5 years, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also too, you know, you done your stuff in the music industry, but you've been able to also like do a couple of documentaries and different type of stuff like that.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
We shot that documentary on MLK.
Yeah.
But Dope Boy.
Yeah, and a lot of the stuff here for the Houston Camera Exchange and different clients and stuff like that. Where do you see like under research going, and where do you want to go with that?
With Under Research, I see it. It sounds really crazy sometimes to say, but you gotta be.
Hey, you gotta shoot for the sky's the limit, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And even then, shoot for Mars.
Right.
Yeah.
And then land on the moon or something.
Yeah, straight up.
I want to say like worldwide and just clothing and creating beautiful content, man. Like to me, colors are so important to me when it comes to videos. Like it makes me feel so happy when I see that 16 millimeter grain like film or something, like whatever, like movies, Tarantino, all these things in life, like,
Yeah, what do you think? Like, you know, obviously everybody wants to know, man, what are you filming on? What's like your favorite gear to film on, or how did that start? Like, what did you begin on and all that cool stuff?
So, man, I started with a Nikon D50 100,
Okay,
and that that was horrible. I was shooting videos off of that. It couldn't autofocus. So, I saved my money. I sold that camera and I got me an A7R II, which was more megapixel heavy.
Yeah.
And I started shooting a lot of music videos off of that, not knowing, you know, that I was doing it wrong. Because in video, you want like lower megapixels. You don't
Yeah.
want too much noise and stuff like that,
But you were making it work. And a lot of people don't know this, but you're an amazing photographer.
Yeah.
Came back from Japan, showed me some of those photos. I was like, oh, bro. And you're like, what you don't know is that I was a photographer.
I was. So that's why composition's easy for me. Like I knew that photography was something that's easy to do, but videography is a whole nother game. Like there's so
Yeah.
many elements to it.
Yeah, they say that obviously cinematography and filming and movies is basically a moving still, you know.
Correct.
And so do you feel like a lot of the same rules cross over when it comes to filmmaking?
Yeah, I feel like if you're a young photographer and you want to get into videography, I feel like when you shoot a lot of photography, you start knowing the composition. You learn the three rules of the shutter speed, the aperture and the ISO. And those work in harmony, and it just translates over to videography or cinematography. And you just got to add more skills to it, like little settings and like frames per second and stuff like that.
Yeah, man, I really admire what I like a lot about your music videos too, and some of the stuff that I see from different people. I think the storytelling is what really captures me. So being able to portray, I don't think it's easy. I'm getting into video this year. I think it's easy to document. It's easier probably to document like a podcast like this, but to really create something out of a project, and make it come to life in the video aspect, I think that's incredibly hard. Yeah.
It's really hard, and I feel like your job as a videographer, even though it sounds like less than a cinematographer, I
Yeah.
mean, they're all in the same realm. But I feel like your job when you're creating video is to make the audience feel a certain way. The
Okay.
certain shots you do, the wide shots, the establishing shot, the tighter shots for like B-roll. What are you trying to make the audience feel?
Okay.
How are you showing your perspective?
So what would you say like in when you're working and stuff like that? Um, what a lot of young people don't know, it is I've seen you definitely like write down in your notebook and what is the most important thing to you when you're filming, and you can even talk a little bit about how you kind of prepare because I've seen you always with that notebook. You know what I mean? And it seems like you're just writing movies in there or something. But what really goes on
Man,
in that space there?
man, like I told you, there's a lot that goes into video, right? And it's just me writing notes on how to improve, like, what is composition. Like, I'm literally watching a YouTube video about composition, running down like, oh, this is a Dutch angle. You use the Dutch angle. It's like a 45-degree shot to make your viewer feel discomfort.
Okay.
Or like an establishing shot where it's like super wide, it's showing a building. And that's to kind of show that, hey guys, like this is where the setting's gonna start off.
Oh
Like
yeah,
like
yeah.
like a bank robbery scene. We're shooting a wide shot, and then a car pulls up, and a bunch of robbers come out, and they run into the door. That's the stuff I write down, so then I can kind of remember because it's hard to remember all this
I
stuff.
remember one of my homies, Eric, told me he's like, Mikey, it don't matter how good you edit, if your composition's off, then the photo is really off. He goes, you want to practice composition more than anything that you would do in photography. He goes, because that's the fundamental. And he made me understand like leading lines and teaching me the rule of thirds and how important the composition is because that's what really gravitates our eyes as viewers, right?
Yeah.
So that's really cool. Yeah, you get those establishing shots, and there's so many different things that you can get into, right? Like obviously, like you said, wide angles, tighter shots. Those different type of angle. I don't know what did you say, Dutch?
The Dutch
Yeah.
angle, yeah, it's like a
That kind of is that kind of like what they used in the that Adam Sandler movie, was it Uncut Gems, where that seemed like very intense.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man, that movie gave me a lot of anxiety.
yeah,
Like they made you feel like anxiety.
yeah.
There's one scene in like The Dark Knight Rising where they've captured the Joker and they're in this interrogating like table, like
Oh
where the
yeah, I
police and
remember that
stuff,
part. Yeah, yeah.
and you just see like how like in videos I mean cinematography, there's a rule of like not breaking that 180 rule,
Okay.
which they did, where they broke that rule by rotating around that whole table to create discomfort.
Oh, nice.
And that's the beauty of this cinematography and videography. It's just you're making someone feel a certain way.
Yeah. So I think that's the like I always heard this, not just in photography, but what's that saying? Like it's really good to learn the rules so that way you can at the end of the day end up breaking them.
Yeah.
Like that way you can add your own spin to it. What do you think? Like going in, what's the most important thing to you when you're actually sitting down and you're about to like, hey, start a project or filmmaking when it comes into cinematography? What's the most important thing to you?
Like the most important thing, like to start off
Yeah.
from like just like any project or
Yeah.
anything. Man, just I write down the elements of things. Like let's just say, what are we gonna be shooting? Like a movie about fishing or something, right?
Okay.
I know that the element, the scenery is finding the locations first. So, okay, first of all, we're gonna find like an ocean or something, all right, and then we're gonna break it down to where like we would have to go to the location, scout it out, take a bunch of pictures, and really frame out like the look and stuff like that to kind of just get that idea down,
Yeah.
so you don't go into it blind, because a lot of these people in movie making or cinema, they like to plan out everything beforehand because you don't want to go into things blind.
Right. Everybody thinks you show up, you set up, and then you start filmmaking, right? Which kind of like goes into like my next question, which is like the process. And I feel, and I keep on coming back to that because I feel, everybody thinks it's like, oh, they're gonna be talking about Tony's gonna be giving these crazy insiders and how to, but really, it's more of the fundamentals and the conversations that you and I always have. The process. Do you feel like a lot of people end up skipping that? I felt like myself, I was skipping a lot of the fundamentals of the process. Like you said, showing up to a place, scouting it out. Not a lot of people don't even want to take the time to do that.
Yeah, and I saw it in the whole music video game of shooting. Like, a lot of people wanted the results way too fast, which created this style of run and gun. And I had to do that too. I
Yeah.
had to shoot run and gun, where it's just constant shooting, fast pace without planning anything. One that could teach you how to be quicker on your feet whenever, you know,
Yeah, there's some pros and cons to it, right?
yeah, there's pros and cons, but at the end of the day, it comes back to setting up the shot, knowing which lens makes the person feel a certain way, or the character of the lens, even.
Yeah.
What flair it gives. Like, what are you trying to, display for people to feel?
Yeah. Is there just to kind of sidetrack or anything like that? Do you have any favorite movies or TV shows or anything that you like watching? Um,
Man,
or what it doesn't even have to do that, but what truly inspires you, you know?
I have a lot of things that inspire me. Like, I'll watch movies from really any genre, even scary movies, but um, the one person that inspired me to become a video person was Andy too, and he shot a lot of travel video content that was just insane to me. You know, I'm this young kid, like 18 years old, seeing this guy travel the world, flying a drone over the Great Wall of China, or
That's
like,
cool.
it's just insane to me. Like, it's insane that you can create that.
That's really awesome, man.
Yeah.
Man, I know you've been traveling a little bit too. You're gonna be doing a little bit more of that late this year.
Yeah, I'll try to. I'll try to. Yeah. Take
So,
some more photos.
side question: other than filmmaking, what are some things you like to do?
Man, I love fishing.
Yeah.
I can go fishing all day. Like, just sit out there and just fish for 7 hours and just look at the water.
Yeah, yeah. I know you. It's cool when you sometimes you come back and you go with our manager, which we think is actually the coolest manager in the world.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah, and then and y'all and you come back and yo, we caught the shark or we did this, and I'm like, you caught a shark? Like, how in
Yeah.
the world do you
I
do
mean,
that?
Charlie really taught me a lot. I know the little small fundamentals of fishing, but when I started going fishing with him, I'm like, whoa, this is a whole different thing. Like catching a bull shark
Yeah,
from like 5 feet away, it's like insane to me.
yeah.
So that's why I would never go swimming in the beach again, like ever.
Do you feel that also too, doing these things aside of filmmaking help you approach filmmaking in a way as well too. Like for example, you understood how to fish already, and very well, but now you've learned even so much more. How can you see that? How would that translate to filmmaking in a way? You know?
Well, there's a lot of aspects to it. Like, patience is one thing that you learn from fishing. You really have to, if sometimes as a filmmaker, you'll go out there and you'll film and you'll have a bad day
Yeah,
and film something really bad like that. That doesn't make you happy. And it translates to fishing because it's like when you're fishing, you might not catch anything.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, man, like also like fishing helps you get away from, you know, just filmmaking. You don't want to overdo your career. Like you don't want to shoot every day or film too much. Like sometimes you need to take away from that to even come back to what your craft is.
yeah. That's crazy that you say that, Tony. Because like my first year of shooting, I was shooting every day in downtown. I would get off at 4 p.m. from 5 p.m. to like midnight, 1, 2, 3 in the morning. Sometimes 3 in the morning. I had to be at work at 7 a.m. And when you're first starting, you're so passionate and you're just like at it like 150%.
Yeah.
But then once you start growing and you actually start realizing that, hey, I actually need a little bit of space to create, maybe to stop shooting for a little bit for a couple days and to create space not only for yourself, whether if it's for like, your soul, your mental health, or whatever it is, and also too, I feel like every time I do that, if I do something other than photography, I come back actually more inspired next time I pick up that camera.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because sometimes a lot of people feel like, I ask you what inspires you, and people have different answers. But to me, I can never say, you know what, I saw this photo that inspires me, or I saw this video. Sometimes there's times that I actually don't like. I'm not that I don't like. I don't feel like taking a photo, but there's something about when I do pick up that camera and I've been away from it for a little bit, and I kind of like start getting the inspired juices going again. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
you know what? Let's go start lurking around the city. I got a spot. I want to revisit a spot that I do. I have an idea on how I can retake that photo and stuff like that. And I know you mentioned something really good as well too. It's like a lot of people with that point you want to focus on quality versus quantity, right?
No, correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's really important here. Where you can actually use that in anything, whether it's filmmaking or photography. Um, the more you grow in your years, I think in this creative journey, is you always begin to understand to give yourself space, and then you become re-inspired and stuff as well too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think being re-inspired is the most important thing.
yeah,
Like it's very hard to be inspired sometimes too.
yeah. I remember I used to go fishing with my dad and my grandfather, my mom's dad, a
Mhm.
lot when I was younger, and those were always like very peaceful times, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially when they'd be barbecuing and stuff like that. You know
Yeah,
what I
all
mean?
the food is like the best when you go fishing.
Yeah, yeah, man. That's awesome, bro. So, if you had any advice for anybody that's starting off as a filmmaker, like what would you tell them?
um, I would say pick up a camera and just do it. Don't be scared to fail. The first step is just starting. Like starting anything. Like even if you have the worst camera, you're just starting, and that's how you will progress because you will fail and you will understand why. Let's say if like how I started off with the 5100, like it was so hard for me, and then I started trying to innovate that, trying to fix those problems because you're gonna run into so many problems doing this stuff. You have to run into these problems to I guess, build your character in a way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool, Ty. What would your dream setup look like right now? Money's not an issue. Yeah, but
Like I won the lotto like the next day or
yeah,
something.
because right now, tell us a little bit what you're using to film right now. Like you're filming on.
The Fujifilm H2S.
Yeah.
Man, that
Why that camera?
man.
Tell us a little bit about it.
All right, so I came from the A7R2, right? And this camera, because my A7R2 had broken down, and I had no camera for like a year, and I saved my money and while working here, and I purchased that because you even told me like, hey, there's a camera coming out before we even knew the H2S was coming out.
Yeah, I know.
We were like, I was like, what camera? He's like, well, they have the H1, but like they're supposedly coming out with the H2, and then they dropped this. Like 2 cameras, the H2 and the H2S, and I was like, okay, I'm getting this thing. And man, the in-body stabilization is awesome. Man, the colors are the best thing to me.
Yeah.
Because coming from Sony, no shots towards Sony, but like the colors are just amazing in this camera.
Yeah. I mean, color science is actually a very important thing, right?
Yeah.
It's not that you can't learn to, color grade. Is that the right term in filmmaking?
Yeah.
For me, it would be more on the photography side. One of the things that I struggle on the Sony side was because I'm actually not a good photo editor. You know what I mean? So I need to do like minor adjustments. But Fujifilm, really allowed that to actually set. And shout out to Fuji, they're sponsoring us, and shout out to Rode.
Yeah.
Thank you for sponsoring our channel. But Fujifilm has some really amazing good things. My friend Heido got me into it, and I started getting into it. But the H2S is very interesting. A lot of people are saying it's like it's obviously not an FX3 or anything like that, but it's pretty close.
It holds its own. It holds its own. Like it does what it needs to do, and it's just you just need that camera in your lineup.
And it's cool how you can use even some of the Black Magic stuff, which I know that's something that you. But all right, dream setup. The money's not
dream setup, man.
Like I said,
an Ari Alexa or something, like, I mean, my next step would be Black Magic probably, but an Ari camera with like some cookie lenses or like some super expensive lens. And
I don't even know what that is. Cookie lens expensive sounds interesting.
Yeah, it tastes really good too.
Yeah.
But yeah,
man, you'll get there. I think honestly, bro. I really appreciate you. If you've never had a chance to visit us here at the Houston Camera Exchange, come by. Tony's here. I'm here. But come and ask for Tony. Man, he's an incredible resource to our city. But, before we close out, where can we find your work at?
Man, you can find my work on Instagram, Tone Cine. All my posts are on there. I'm trying to get a website soon, though.
The website's on its way.
Yeah.
It's going to be really good. Don't worry. Your guys going to be intrigued by it. But, man, come by the Houston Camera Exchange if you have any questions about filmmaking, cinematography. Tony's an incredible resource here for us. He always helps me when I have questions, and I've been able to learn so much about video. Just being able to watch him and asking him questions and stuff like that. But man, maybe we can do a take 2 of this, somewhere else or something. Because I know you and I, we could talk forever.
Yeah, we probably could, for sure.
But thank you for tuning in. Peace.
Hey, thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and come visit us at the Houston Camera Exchange, 5900 Richmond Avenue.